I'm just gonna be straight up, rip the band-aid off. I am not enjoying Tears of the Kingdom. I've been a big Nintendo head for the majority of my life, and I like to think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to what I like in Zelda games. But with Tears of the Kingdom, I've felt more isolated and lost than I've ever been with this franchise. And it is very fucking easy to get lost in Zelda, believe me. So what could I possibly even have a problem with? This shit has gotten tens around the board, with the whole internet appraising this as Nintendo's very own The Bible 2. I am very much on my own here. And grand reveal, main problem that I'm having with this game is that I'm simply not having fun with it.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Not that there isn't a possible way to do so, or that I don't think anybody else should. It's just that I'm not that same snot-nosed 6th grader who got mesmerized by Breath of the Wild anymore. A lot of the mechanics and exploration in Tears I now find to be very tedious, repetitive, and frankly boring in comparison to many games that I've played post Breath of the Wild. I don't have the patience to do the same monkey brain level puzzle over and over again for 100 hours like I did in 2017. I got a channel to update, I got a girlfriend to buy Minecraft Legos for, I go to fucking college, I go in and out of jobs, I'm moving towns constantly, and when I sit down to play video games, I'm a lot more picky about what I invest my time into than I was when I was a dumb kid. And it kind of breaks my heart a little bit. I love video games, and this isn't a video to try and convince you that they aren't fun anymore, or that they aren't worth your time, but to me, this game represents a lot more than a sequel to a game I used to care about. It's about my control of my life, it's about growing up, and it's about finding balance in the things and people you care about and picking your own battles. I've rewritten the script for this video a good 5 times to try and fence sit and people please on how I feel about this game, but really, what I'm feeling towards it has a lot more to do with me personally than it does with Tears itself. Not that I don't have genuine critiques for this game, but I think the only way I'm gonna be happy with this video is just by dropping all the stupid video essay bullshit and just being honest with how I feel. In 2017, I was in the 7th grade. I didn't have many friends, but the people I did hang around with were all very nerdy like me and spent most of their time online playing video games. But unlike them, I was one of the few kids who stuck by Nintendo during the dark ages and played on my Wii U. While the other kids were off playing Left 4 Dead and Call of Duty, I was still pretending like it was 2013 and playing Minecraft, Zelda, and Mario Kart exclusively. And one of my biggest pastimes from that era in my life was a creative world I used to pummel hundreds of hours into called Creating Creativity, which was a very original on my part. I would build giant pixel art statues, mini-game maps, recreate buildings, architecture, and really anything that came into mind. It was a big passion project for me in my early teen years, and it's how I got out a lot of my early creative juices boiling inside me. Though, as I grew older and made my way through high school, I found new passion projects, more socially acceptable ways to express myself to others. One of those outlets being YouTube. And slowly but surely, my creative world I used to call a second home was practically abandoned. It didn't erase any of the great times I had on that world, or any of the friends I made while I was active on there, but it was clear I moved on to bigger and better things. It had served its purpose for me, and I felt at peace leaving it behind. And I've never really felt the need to make another creative world in Minecraft ever since. Doesn't make it a bad mode or a bad game just because I won't personally have fun with it anymore. I just express myself differently now. And this is my weird metaphorical way of explaining my feelings about the new Zelda game. When I first bought Breath of the Wild, I was going through a very stupid, overdramatic 8th grade breakup, and I just needed some kind of stupid baby sensory distraction to keep me from crying like a toddler. And Breath of the Wild filled that 8th grade breakup void in my heart like no other game could. The exploration, the brand new reinvented Hyrule, the absolute depth of it was just so much to take in. I had never played an open world game before, and it was almost overwhelming how much shit there was to just look at and discover. I easily sank 100 hours into it, and it was so easy to overlook all these now seemingly obvious flaws and bores with the game because I was just too obsessed. I had never played another game like it, and I had no reference for what could have been improved on or what I preferred from open world games because it was my first. It was fresh, and frankly, I didn't feel the need to demand for something better. It was exactly what I needed at the time to move on from a weird, dramatic stage of my life, and I'm grateful for the purpose it served. But just as I had moved on from Minecraft creative worlds to music and making videos, I had started to expand my palette in video video games. I played a lot more indies. I got over my fear of horror games. I beat a few FromSoft titles. Hell, I even bought an Oculus and put a concerning amount of hours into FNAF VR. I've branched out and ventured a lot within the past few years. And going back to square one with Tears has been kind of bittersweet, and made me wonder if it's even worth my time at all. I know there are some people ready to mass report my channel and publicly execute me in Times Square for even notioning Breath of the Wild as anything close to square one, but really and honestly, I can't go back to playing it. It just feels boring to me now after every other game I've experienced. The main gameplay loop of Breath of the Wild really just consists of looking at something cool in the distance, walking towards that something cool in the distance, and either being rewarded with grass poop or a simplistic puzzle that can either reward you with extra heart containers or more stamina to explore for longer. Rinse and repeat that for 60 hours. Sure, there were cool story beats and set pieces that were really impressive and stood out amongst the gameplay, but realistically, these awesome moments only made up about 5% of the game, and the rest of it was really just this. Upgrading my heart containers to ridiculous amounts just seems pointless to me now when 99% of all the enemies are so butt-ass easy to take out. While the Guardians and Lynels did provide a good occasional challenge, they were really the peak of difficulty in this game. You weren't ever going to sustain that much damage from Bokoblins and Lizals, so what's the point in obtaining all these goddamn hearts? You can literally just open your pause menu and regain them all in a matter of seconds anyways. It just all feels very self-indulgent and pointless, so it doesn't make me want to keep playing this game. People say Tears has improved on combat with all the variety in weapons and the brand new fusing mechanic, but one thing I don't see many people talking about is how the enemies have pretty much not changed at all. They're still all easy as shit! There's a few new enemies that have slightly new patterns of attack and give you different ways to approach combat, but nothing has really felt too challenging or like it's taken too much brain power to overcome. Similar to the previous game, there are a few cool and rare mini-bosses and mini-dungeons that provide the occasional challenge, but overall, like its predecessor, these cool moments only make up a small portion of the overall game. The rest of it just feels like the same mundane gameplay loop over and over again on the same goddamn map. And don't get me started about the Sky Islands and the depths, man. It's just... it's so sad. The Depths is an area in Tears that is brand new and all underground. It stretches across the entire map and contains a total of one biome all throughout, with the same enemies from above the surface copied and pasted with weird red paint on them. Say what you want about Hyrule and how empty it felt at times, but at least there was variety in the landscapes. The Depths is just an easy cop-out and a lazy way to justify Tears as a new experience. And what the original Hyrule map has updated on is really nothing to write home about, in my opinion. What I will admit is that the side quests have improved a lot, and I do find them a lot more interesting and compelling than in Breath of the Wild, but for every local political propaganda quest, there's about 10 copy-pasted Korok buddy puzzles that bring nothing but misery and more fucking grass poop to my Zelda experience. If I have to help out one more guy with a sign or take another crystal to another sky shrine, I think I'm just gonna throw my Switch to the wolves. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the mundaneness of it all. And finally, this brings me to the Zonai devices, one of the main selling points of Tears. Zelda has gone full Bad Piggies mode with this game, and you are now able to make your own custom devices and vehicles using various parts and items you can fuse together. I'm sure online you've seen all the wacky Looney Tunes level hijinks people have gotten up to with this shit, and all I've really got to say about it is that I do like it. I like the feature. While you could get upset about how hard it is to get the goddamn wheel on, just get on it! It doesn't take away from the pure childlike joy I experience seeing all the ways people have found to castrate Koroks and launch civilians into space, or just straight up commit terrorist acts on Bokoblin camps. It's funny as shit, and I'd be an old geezer and frankly boring to call this not fun. But even with all these cool community-created contraptions, it still doesn't really fix any of my other big problems with this game. Sure, the exploration isn't as much of a hassle as it was in Breath of the Wild, but the rewards for doing so remain the same, and are still, to me, unsatisfying and tedious. The puzzles utilizing these contraptions don't often require you to use the Zonai in really any interesting way at all. It's all optional and very simplistic, which kinda works for the game and also kinda doesn't. It's nice to have the option to build a Unabomber nuke plane to wipe out a giant group of enemies, but what's the point when realistically these enemies could still be easily taken out with a wooden club? It's just more effort for the same results. I mean, it's a sandbox at the end of the day, and while I understand that kind of freedom can motivate certain players to do really cool creative shit, on the other side of the coin, coin, it just makes things easier to cheese and provides a less concise and challenging experience overall. And some people are okay with that compromise. It's not a game suited for every player, and that's really the point I'm trying to get across. Tears isn't an objectively bad game. We're not looking at WWE 2K18 for the Nintendo Switch here. Obviously, there's been a lot of nuance and thought put into this title, and people are clearly enjoying it. What I'm more upset about is how I play video games now, and that I'm not that same sandbox kid anymore that I used to be. In 2018, I didn't think about Breath of the Wild that hard because I was so starstruck about the thought of such a big Hyrule. I didn't care about how engaging the puzzles were or how stupidly long it took me to get to them. I had all the time in existence. I was too young to get a job, I didn't really struggle with school, and when it came to Zelda, I just felt like a cool-ass guy doing cool-ass shit. I didn't have a care in the world, and it kinda bothers me that I can't just force myself to feel that way about games anymore. Time is more sacred to me now. When I do invest time in games or movies, I usually see it through the lens of what am I getting out of this experience? Is this selfishly something I can make a video on? Am I playing this to get closer to someone who also enjoys this game? Every time I open a game, it's like a transaction is happening in my mind. And if that transaction only results in time wasted and procrastination from other things I know I'd feel more proud of myself for doing, there's almost a shame in committing the act of having senseless fun. Which is why I don't and can't judge people who enjoy Tears. They're just like me at my core. A younger me would have killed to have this game, but now it's just not my thing, and that's completely okay. I'm not gonna brute force myself onto this game, and I frankly don't feel the need to. Just like friends I've outgrown or communities I've left, it's time I move on to new things that are going to make me happier and provide more satisfaction to me. Letting go of the past and all the positive memories you have attached to it can be difficult, but change is necessary for growth. I'm not worried about the future of Zelda. It'll always have fans. And I just know another 6th grade goober is gonna run in GameStop and beg their mom to get them Tears of the Kingdom. Just how I did 6 years ago with Breath of the Wild. And they're going to enjoy it. Far more than I can. Anyways, to plug this stupid thing into the indiegenerate, I give Tears of the Kingdom a solid... Take me back. Take me back. Take me back.